Hi, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cracking installment of the Map Around Show. This is the Built in California series, and with me on the line is an amazing founder doing what I believe is a pretty hard thing, which we'll be getting into. Love hard science problems and founders who are solving them. So his name is Ajay Chintala, the co-founder and CEO of MakerDojo. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having us.
No, you're very welcome, man. So look, why don't you kick us off and maybe give us the elevator pitch on what exactly is the MakerDojo up to? And you've also got quite an interesting backstory too, former Facebook engineer working on WhatsApp. So we all know that story. So yeah, we're over to you, bud. Kick us off.
Yeah, so we are MakerDojo. We are a data platform for Web3. So we make it easy for both consumers and enterprises to make it easy to access Web3 data. So at the core of the problem is we make it easy to understand data or like process data. So we have like a suite of solutions. At the top end is our Ask feature, where any user can come to our platform and ask a question about blockchain data, and we'll respond back. Our AI engine will respond back with a fact or a plot. So you can look at it like Siri on your iPhone for blockchain data. Whereas the other end of the spectrum is where enterprise use our data firehouse, where we have all this enriched blockchain data, and enterprises just have raw access to this data, and they build solutions on top of this data. And we have other solutions in between the spectrum, things like querying interfaces, dashboards, alerting, and everything. So at a high level, we are solving the data problem for Web3.
Well, congratulations, bud. I think this is pretty cool. I think a lot of, let's just say, Web3 positioned, if you like, businesses are looking for a problem to solve. But clearly, what you guys have done is you've actually found a use case, which is really interesting, isn't it? It's kind of like if you spoke to me about blockchain analytics, I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" But then when you frame it in the context of Google, you're like the Google of blockchain analytics, aren't you? So, like, if I wanted to know what the total amount of circulating Bitcoin is, it would show me. If I wanted to know the total,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Like it's conversational analytics.
Yes, exactly. So that's the main product that we have. So we understand that there's very tiny percentage of population who actually can process this data or write complex SQL or complex code to get any useful insights out of this data. Whereas if you look at the blockchain market itself, the players in the blockchain markets, like regular users who want to either like trade or like buy NFTs or just do some investments and things like that. So these users, they have like a lot of questions, but then there's no easy way to like get answers for those questions. So we are essentially like solving that problem. So so users can ask question in like simple English, and our engine will take care of like doing all the complex bits and get them an answer that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into the meat and the potatoes, I'd love for us to spend some time talking about your experience at WhatsApp, because I still remember from back in the day, it was kind of like, it was all about like, it was, there was Uber and Airbnb, and then there was WhatsApp. And then I'll never forget, there was like, well, how do you get 50 million users with only 9 engineers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what did that experience teach you about hard science problems, and how do you tackle them? I'm not sure if WhatsApp was hard science, but certainly it was, at least from my experience anyway. It is a hard thing to scale. Like that was probably like the shining light of scale, isn't it, from like a WhatsApp messaging perspective or
Yeah.
conversational analytics perspective?
Yeah. So regarding WhatsApp, so by the time I joined WhatsApp, it's already pretty big. It's already under Meta, and Facebook took over it. And but when you put like things in perspective, WhatsApp team is still like pretty small compared to the amount of user base they have. So it's amazing how much you can accomplish if you just focus on the right problems. So at WhatsApp, it's all about like just focusing on solving the messaging problem. You just make sure your messaging works, and that's it. make sure the product is very easy and intuitive for the user to just get the thing done there on the product for. So I think that's a big lesson that I took away from my experience working at WhatsApp. So just focus on fundamentals, just solve one problem and so solve it correct. So the same principle we are applying at MakerDojo, where just get that answer to the user. I mean, we can like do a ton of features, but at the core of it, user is coming to our platform to get that question answered. So we just make sure that we get that answer and we get that answer like fast. And we also get in such a way that they have like trust on the platform. So when we answer the question, we also give them the code that we use to answer that question. So having that intrinsic trust in the platform and trust in the answers that we are like serving, that's key to solving a problem and key to like gaining more users. So WhatsApp, when it started, it essentially just did that, right? I mean, it just made it easy. So it's pretty much like any other messaging app. It's like your typical text messaging app, but it's fast and it's secure. So it just, and also it took away all the friction that you have with regular messaging, where you don't have to like pay, it's instant and things like that. So that's like a key to its massive growth.
So I'm curious, and I'm sure our audience would be as well. I mean, I love your point around use cases, but a use case requires a particular customer. You know what I mean? Like, no use cases solve everything for everyone. So,
Yeah.
and as you know, like, you get different users for different things. So, who would you say is your customer, and what use case are you solving for them? Because if I've got up your website here, you've got Mueller asset comparison, packed CELO, liquidity pool, stablecoin
Right.
metrics. Like
Yeah.
there's actually quite a lot of use cases, isn't there,
Yep.
for what you guys have done. So who is your customer, and what are these use cases exactly?
Yeah, so our users broadly fall into four personas. So we have one user persona who is like a regular traders. So these are the kind of users who want to just make some trades based on the data that they do their like research before they trade their NFTs or tokens or things like that. So they come to our platform. So these are the users who know about the data, but then don't have the technical skills to query the data. So they are the ones that come to our platform, ask some questions, figure out what is the trading volume of a certain token, or how are like trades happening with respect to the largest wallets and things like that. So in fact, an example there is we have one user who uses our platform to track how some of these wallets that are holding a large amount of tokens are trading. And this get tries to emulate or follow similar trades at a volume that he is comfortable with. So he's using our platform to do his research and make an informed decision in his like trading activities. And we have other persona who are these product managers at these Web3 companies. So product managers, they usually use this data to make decisions about their products. Let's say someone is building a new feature, or someone is trying to introduce a new product which gives some rewards and things like that. So in order to like figure out, or in order to make a decision around what should the reward rate be set at or things like that, they use our platform to just get that research work done. So they usually like start by asking question, and then they expand on the data, or they expand on the results that they got, and then continue their research. So typically these product managers, they currently have like a team of data scientists they work with, where they ask their questions to the data science team, and there's always a latency because you are having to like deal with another team. So what we do is we make it easy. So we are skipping the initial leg where they can get all their like basic questions answered from our platform without having to like reach out to a data science team. And then when things get like complex, then that's when they can like reach out to the data science team. The third persona is all these project communities. For example, in Web3, a lot of things are like decentralized organizations, and a lot of projects try to keep things in open. So all of these projects, they tend to show the statistics on their dashboard so that they are open with the community, right? Everyone can like see what's happening just by looking at the dashboards on these websites. So this third persona uses our platform dashboards created on our platform and then embed these dashboards onto their like community websites and things like that. An example there is Celo blockchain. So we have dashboards that are built on our platform, but are embedded on Celo's website. So things around this Moola and Ubeswap and statistics around page dashboards that like show statistics around these things. They are like embedded on Celo's website itself, but then are powered by our platform. And the fourth persona is these enterprises who want direct access to the data. So we have one enterprise customer who is using this data firehose, where they're into this stable coins and things like that, and they have direct access to the data stream, and they can like set up alerts on the data stream, and then plug that into their own backend to drive their product. So yeah, so we have these four different personas where users directly asking questions, and the other end is just directly accessing the data firehose and build their products on top.
Cool. So if you think about all those personas, I mean, what would you say is the market opportunity that you're going after in dollars? Is it 2 billion? Is it hard to say? Because it's difficult, right? Because
So yeah, that's so the market opportunity is actually pretty huge. I think the current, at least if you look at just the crypto market cap itself, I think it's at around $800 billion, but that's now when things are like pretty down. So when we started working on this problem, it was around like $2 trillion, I believe. And this is just the crypto market, and the market that we are targeting is entire blockchain market. And we also see like a lot of traditional players entering into the blockchain market. For example, a lot of the Wall Street banks, they're trying to use blockchain for settling transactions and things like that. So we expect the blockchain market itself to grow, and with all of the traditional banks that are coming in and starting to use blockchain, so we expect the market itself to grow into a big number.
mm, I must actually connect you to a guy called Wes Cummins.
Mhm.
He's the founder of a company called, they were Applied Blockchain, and now they kind of not, well, they are pivoting actually into something called Applied Digital, and something to consider. And you can chat to Wes about it, but you should actually be, because it's still for him, he's moving into digital infrastructure, but it's blockchain infrastructure. So whereas before it was just mining, it was like the infrastructure for mining. Now it's like infrastructure for blockchain applications. And I think there's, with what you guys are doing, for me, my sense would be that there's an opportunity to create value around digital infrastructure analytics, but
Yes.
within a very specific blockchain context.
That's true. In fact, so that's why we don't pigeonhole ourselves into just crypto data analytics. So we call ourselves as general blockchain and Web3 data, because we see that the data problem is transferable to all sorts of domains. So if we solve for like crypto, that's say, we can just tweak a few things and then make it work for Web3 infra or regular fintech or things like that. So yeah, that's a good opportunity. That's true.
And so what kind of, I mean, I know you mentioned you had an enterprise client there, but what kind of traction are you guys getting? Is there a way to substantiate kind of like, how much traction you are getting and adoption for something like this at this stage, with the market being where it is?
So we have some enterprise. So we have some like sales leads and enterprise users. We have few enterprise users that are already using the Firehose solution that I talked about, and few are in the pipeline. And our consumer product is what is picking up more traction. So we are seeing like a lot of users coming to our platform every day, asking a bunch of questions and coming back and doing more research. So that's a segment that we are like most excited about. But then, given that we have data, we have all of these enterprise solutions that slowly is coming along as well.
So what have you guys actually built? Is this like a WYSIWYG editor for blockchain analytics? How does it actually all come together from a user perspective?
So we kind of like maintain all layers of the stack. So we have blockchain. So we have all these blockchain nodes that we run to essentially maintain raw blockchain data, and then we have data pipelines which pull data from our nodes and then enrich them, save them in our columnar databases. And then on top of that, we have all these API layers that build our solution. And somewhere in between, we are using these AI models to help answer this question. So when someone comes to our platform and asks a question, so it like triggers our AI engine, and we convert that question into SQL, and then run that SQL against our databases. And then once we have the data, we trigger some more models to actually like plot the result into a graph that's like most relevant for the question. So that's like the consumer side. And for the enterprise side, we have like API engines where we allow users access to this data in various formats. I mean, be it by regular querying the data or building dashboards, or just using our API to have direct access to this data.
So you touched on it up front, but there's actually three co-founders of this startup.
Yes, yes. So
Um,
yeah, I have to like correct that. I'm the CTO, co-founded CTO of MakerDojo. So our CEO is someone called Priyank.
Okay, so I got it wrong up front, everyone.
No,
He's the
no.
he's the CTO. Okay, you gotta watch out, man. You gotta watch out here. Get one letter wrong changes everything. So explain, help us understand who's on the team. So you've got three co-founders. Were they
Yeah.
also at WhatsApp like back in the day?
Um, yeah. So three of us we work together at Coursera, the educational ed tech company. So we worked at Coursera. I mean, all three of us worked together at Coursera. And after that, I moved to WhatsApp for a couple of years before starting this. And so Priyank, our CEO, he started a couple of companies while he was graduate. I mean, while he was like doing his master's at Stanford, and he sold his companies for IP, and this is his like fourth company right now. So all of us like knew each other at Coursera, and we all had this interest in startups, and we've always been like thinking about what to do next and things like that. And during pandemic, we came together and built this board games platform where you can like play you can essentially like bring your own board game. You can like take a picture of your board game and build it online and play with your friends over uh, video chat. It's like Zoom and then tabletop, everything combined into one platform. So when building that, we realized that we as a team can like work together, and then we started like looking at problems that fit with our skills. So we started like looking for problems in domains that we are excited about, and also problems that's something that we can like solve. So
Mm,
all of us in our like day-to-day work at like Coursera and like at previous roles, we have like deep system skills, and also like worked with large amounts of data at Coursera at other places. And then we have individually been like invested in the crypto world and the blockchain space and all, and we have and on the side we have all like traded, and we have tried running our own nodes and things like that. So we found that blockchain is something that we wanted to like explore and then see what problems that we can solve there. And when like looking for problems and then trying out a few ideas and talking to users, we realized that data analytics and just access to data is a huge opportunity that we are better positioned to solve.
mm,
That's when we started MakerDojo. Our initial avatar was more of a regular data querying platform where we just provide users a SQL interface. But then after like looking at the platform and after using the platform ourselves, we realized that even though we made it easy to query the data and the data is all there, it still is pretty hard to write SQL. You still need to like understand the data, how the data is organized. You still need to like know SQL syntax and things like that. So that's when we pivoted and then came up with this conversational data analytics. So that's our like backstory.
very cool. So I have to ask you. So someone, my mentor told me once. He was like, "Yo, wherever you go and launch your ship, make sure you're in a tide that's rising because all boats rise with a rising tide."
Yeah.
when you start up something like this, and I know you guys have raised $1.5 million, which we'll come into in a moment. But where does your mind go when the crypto market tanks? Does it like, do you know what I mean? Like, how does it make you feel? Like, do you feel like, oh, it's just a storm, it will pass, and the tide will rise again, or do you feel like, hey, we actually don't give a fuck because we're actually technology utility, not crypto trading speculation. I think those are very different things, even though they're sort of
Yeah.
related. So how does this, when the market, when the tide goes out like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
what are you
So we,
guys, yeah, how
yeah,
do you
we
manage it?
are yeah. So we are right now thinking more of the later because the problem that we are solving is not just specific to crypto or blockchains, and this is a problem that's like easily transferable to other domains as well. For example, right now our AI engine can understand things like rug pull or um, slippage and things like that. There are like a lot of fintech concepts that the AI engine already understands. So for us to like pivot and then, so once we solve this well enough here, we believe that we can like take the same solution and then sell it to Wall Street. I mean, just plug it into their data, and now all their traders can ask questions around all these complex financial topics and they'll get answers.
Hmm.
So we still believe that we are solving that fundamental problem that's not directly tied to crypto, where crypto is still our engine, our go-to market and everything. Then we feel that problem that we are solving is much bigger than the crypto market itself. But you're true. You're right that with the market the way it is right now, and given that our go-to market itself is crypto and the blockchain field and Web3 in general, um, we are aware that the times are hard. So, for example, um, back when we started, it may be a lot easier to sell to a customer and find a user and sell to them and make money versus we probably have to like work 3x or 5x harder to make the same sales call. Things like that. Things are harder than when we started, but then we still believe that the problem that we are solving is much bigger than the crypto market itself, or the domain in the market that we're eyeing for is both Web 2 and Web 3, not just Web 3.
Cool. Thank you. That's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question, by the way. Most relevant
Cool.
question.
Yeah, very relevant. This is one
Yeah.
thing everyone will be wanting to know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how do you react to something like that? So let's talk about your raise. So congratulations, pre-seed
Thank
funding,
you.
$1.5 million closed in October. So yeah, congratulations. So how was that experience for you guys as a team? I mean, obviously, basically like this, every startup's in some kind of a raise, but I think a lot of people are like suffering right now. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's pretty shitty out there to be raising
Oh,
money,
yeah, definitely.
especially in December. You know,
Oh, yeah.
but so what was your experience on the coalface? Was it harder than you expected? Was it easier than you expected?
So, it was pretty much as we expected. I mean, we're not going to fundraising thinking that we'll just go to like two, three investors and then we'll get a big check back and we'll be done with it. So we were always grounded in reality that this is going to like take a bit of time, and partly in thanks to like podcasts like yours and few others that we have like heard, um, because I mean when someone who hasn't like raised a seed round or any round in that for that matter, you'll only like look at the end result, right? I mean, TechCrunch will write an article saying that hey, these guys raised this much money, and from an outsider, you would like think that oh, okay, it looks simple, right? Because they talked to probably like five, six investors and they got money. But then the reality is that you'll have to like talk to a lot more investors than what seems outside. So going into fundraising, we read a lot of things, talked to a lot of people, and also heard to a lot of podcasts, and we set our reality. I mean, we knew that it's going to be a month or two time. I mean, it's not going to be done in a week or so. It's going to be a long process, and we have to like talk to a lot of people as well. So I think we set things like we'll probably like need 50 plus interviews before we could like get some favorable results.
Mm.
And in fact, that pretty much what has happened. I think it was somewhere around 53 or 55th call is when we got a potential lead. And after we got a potential lead, it everything fell in place so fast. But yeah, I think it was as pretty much as exactly as we expected. But then yeah, for anyone who is like looking to raise money, especially in this climate, I would say like it'll take time. I mean, and also like going into fundraising, we felt that we there's also a luck factor that's involved. And being engineers and being data driven that we are like, okay, we have to get lucky, but then we don't believe in luck. Luck is something you have to make for yourself. So
Mm.
we came up with this with this theory that you need that luck, but then you have to increase your luck, and you can increase your luck by just trying more things, right? So we said, okay, you'll get lucky only when you like increase your volume of your reach outs. So we said, okay, let's put like target for these many cold emails and these many referrals and things like that. So every week we had targets that we had to like reach in terms of like reaching out to investors or like reaching out to referrals and things like that. And in the end, that really helped. It's purely because of the number of people that we talked to and the people who they've referred. We ended up like closing our round.
Mm.
But then, yeah, I'd say like numbers. Just talk to more people and do more user research. That's anything that helped. Going into fundraising, it was not just a slide deck we had. We had a working product which customers were using. So we had like real people using our product who were like giving us feedback. I think that played a lot towards our favor. And investors, when they saw that the product is live and they saw users using the product, they gave us more feedback, and in turn they tried referring us to other their friend investors and things like that. That helped me. Probably that made our uh, raising our round a little easier than what we had anticipated.
Hmm. There's another guy I should introduce you to. They've basically all been on my show. So his name is Eddie Seidman.
Hmm.
It's I think so basically what he's done, he's created something called Revel, so Revel dot XYZ. Have a listen to the show. But and so he's actually created a really amazing marketplace for NFT creation, uh, purchasing,
Actually,
collection,
yeah,
things like
yeah,
that.
like
And
open source. Right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like I would see like your product applying as a user there. You know what I mean? So like the ape NFT, I'm using that as a reference because I'm not really
Yeah.
into the space, but you know, like how many ape NFTs have been minted across it? You know what I mean? Like I think that could be quite
Yeah.
an interesting deep vertical use case for you guys. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, so we have like one user, I mean, one company that we are like we are in the process of like selling our product, where they're trying to like use our platform for their analytics page. For example, even that's a NFT marketplace too. So they want to like provide these statistics to their users where if I have my NFT up for sale, I want to like track how many users have like interacted with this or how
mm,
many sales have happened and things like that.
mm-hmm,
So instead of building this as an in-house solution, they want to like see if they can like plug into the data firehose that we are providing and then just build up a solution and go to market fast. So that I think is like um, but yeah, the other thing that we are also like trying to upsell them is the entire ask interface where along with the statistics, just provide a search bar in their website. So if you remember, Google used to do that. I'm not sure if you can still do that, where you can like embed the search bar onto your website and just restrict the search to just your website domain itself, right? So we are trying to like get into that where just for your project, embed our search bar and what are the questions that you ask, they'll all be like the results will all be like tailored to just your product or just
mm.
your project. That's something that we are trying to we are exploring right now.
Yeah, it's cool. You're like a plugin for blockchain analytics, or
Yep.
you know, so
Yeah.
hey, I've got this marketplace. ad plugin takes 24, 48 hours to listen and do its thing, and then you've got the analytics on the front end after the engine's done its work.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're trying to do there.
So this is obviously a hard thing. I don't know, like technology is a difficult thing to get right, and so you're going to make mistakes. So, what would you say as a team has been your greatest failure, quote unquote, and what have you learned from that? What would you put it down to?
So I think our probably greatest mistake so far, in hindsight at least, is uh, so we started with a smaller um, project than what we'd have like started with. So when we started with certain projects because we had more active users there. In hindsight, we should have picked a project that has a lot more users and a lot more activity because it's a bigger piece of pie, right? But then um, there are like both pros and cons with that approach. Because it was a smaller project and smaller community, we were able to like find our users a lot more faster, and the community itself was like more welcoming, and we were able to like talk to a lot of people, talk to our users face to face, and have meetings with them and things like that. Uh, which might have been like harder if had we picked a bigger project. But then in hindsight, probably we should have like placed our bets on multiple projects and projects of like different scales, maybe.
Mm. And why do you think, or how do you think that would have improved your strategy then? Would you have been able to build, well, solve the right use case earlier on?
Yeah, so yes, we should have like solved a use case that translates to multiple projects. Solve for your current user, solve it well, but then keep in mind or leave enough leeway for you to like translate that problem into other projects as well. So we should have been like picked use case that we're solving is that would have like made it easy for us to launch on other projects pretty quick. So we
Mm.
have had to like do a lot of work to. So eventually we launched on other projects, but we've had to like put in a lot more effort than we initially anticipated. So it's essentially we had to like double the effort, and we have to like do everything from the ground up. So had we been like more careful, we'd have done that a lot faster. So yeah, right now we are at that stage where we can like launch on any project pretty much overnight. So we have like moved things around, and we have learned from those things.
So, what are you struggling with at the moment as a team?
So right now, we have realized that when someone comes to our platform and asks a question, the time to response is pretty important. So you wouldn't. So when I ask a question on Google, I don't want to like wait multiple seconds to get a response, right? So as users of our own platform, we expect the same from our platform as well. So right now we are still around like 30 seconds to 1 minute. So because it still has to like run these queries on a lot of data. So that's the biggest problem, and that's something that we're trying to solve right now. So when someone asks the question, we want the response to be in a few seconds, if not milliseconds. So in order to like get there are like a lot of things along the stack that we need to solve. We need to like make the data querying faster. We need to make the AI engine faster. We need to like cache a lot of things. So we are like solving one problem at a time. And so when we start this, I told you that we are like working on new architecture and all, right? The launch and all. So the data query part is something that we are like solving right now. So we have a new architecture that's going to like respond to these questions in a matter of seconds instead of like tens of seconds. So that's something that we are like pretty excited about. But we want to like tackle all these other problems along the stack so that the answers are instant and user doesn't have to like wait more than a few seconds to get to their like get to the answer that they are looking for.
Mm. Interestingly, Google had the same problem. They were
Yeah.
like, they also had the same problem.
Yep.
From to my knowledge, like I think they had to raise money for computers,
Yep.
just
Yeah.
basically
They
store
they
the
they
data.
threw
Like,
yeah they did like a combination of software and hardware. They threw like a lot of resources at the same time. They came up with some clever algorithms that made their problem made the latency a lot less. So
mm,
we are hoping so. we are not, at least in this market, we are not in a position to raise a lot more money. So we are
Mm-hmm.
focusing on the later, trying to like solve a lot of things with software and clever tricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're hacking it, dude.
Pretty much, yep.
No, that's cool, bro. My wife always calls me Shortcut Matt. So
Yep.
yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like.
I mean, as long as the problem that as long as it solves the problem for the user and you are able to maintain that solution, I think in the short term you have to optimize for speed, and in the long term you have to build for the stability and scalability of the platform.
Mm. So I've just been. If you guys are on the audio version of the podcast, head over to the YouTube channel because I've been showing some of the cool dashboards you guys have built. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it is quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, the challenge of scale with something like this. What are your views on scaling? Because for something like I know you've raised 1.5 million for pre-seed, but in 6 months, a year, you're now seed series A or pre-series A, and then suddenly it's about scale. So scale's coming at some
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
what does it mean to you to scale responsibly? As an example, like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah. So for us, so, so we are always aware that the market itself is like going to change often. So when we talk about scale, so we are going to like we are talking about our platform scaling as well as the business scaling. So for platform scaling, we have an architecture that we are going to like leverage, and when we scale, it's just about like adding more space or the disk space so that we are able to like support a lot more projects. And along the while, wherever possible, we are trying to like optimize our usage patterns and things like that. So when we scale the platform, we don't like linearly scale our computing resources. So that's something that we are going to like. So that's essentially like scaling responsibly for us in terms of technical stack, right? We are going to like support a lot more use cases and a lot more blockchains and things like that. But then that growth is not going to like linearly increase our like I mean, compute costs and things like that. So that's growing responsibly for us. And at the same time, we are also going to be mindful to see where we are like expanding into. For example, there could be a blockchain where they're like the top of the stack is like pretty high, but then if there's not enough market for us to like capture there, we'll probably be more looking to expand into other smaller projects where we have an opportunity to capture most of the market. At the same time, when it comes to like business scaling, um, so a lot of companies when they like raise money or when they try to scale, it's mostly about scaling the company, meaning like hire more people, throw more people into sales, and then try to like pursue more business deals. No matter whether they convert or not, you try to like scale the company to justify the money that you're like raising, right? We are not going to be doing that. So for us, so our hiring strategy or our expansion strategy is simple. So the moment when things start breaking or the moment when we are not able to like scale ourselves is when we are going to like expand. So that's essentially our mantra for scaling responsibly. So if our sales is not scaling and if we realize that by adding more people we are going to like unlock more sales and more bottom line, that's when we are going to like scale.
Mm. Okay, cool. So you thought it through. Well done. Have you read that book, Crossing the Chasm, Jeffrey Moore?
uh no, 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 no.
Yeah, so he's been on the show. You either listen to that or that's a shorter version of reading the book.
I see. Okay,
But it's
I'll
like
probably.
it's a must read book for any scalepreneur like you
Okay.
and your team. Yeah, yeah. So check it out.
Yep, yep, definitely I'll check it out.
Yeah. So cool. So I want to have a bit of fun with you very quickly. So I'm going to give you the keys to the Matt Brown Show time machine. If you could go back to yourself on day one or your whole team and give yourself or your team a piece of advice about building this company, what would that be?
So I would say um, so one of the things that at least in terms of like fundraising and in terms of generally finding allies, so one thing that we realized is that we should have talked to more people, even more people than we had initially talked to, and also try to find these angel investors. So one thing that we did was we built a product, we talked to users, we got users, and we directly went for a pre-seed raise, right? So the step that we jumped that most companies are doing these days is doing that angel round. So, so I think we should have done that because one, it would have given us more time to build a product before we raise the next round. And two, angel investors, they don't just give you the money; they also like give you the expertise and their network and things like that. So having angel investors who are already into the space and who have other connections, that would have like made one finding users, finding customers, and also like finding investors for the next round. That would have been, I mean, it would have made those things a lot easier. So in the
Mm.
absence of that round, we have had to like learn a lot of things and spend a lot of time, hit ourselves, and eventually like get there. But then probably it would have made things a lot better had we found some angels before while we were like building the product.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a chicken and egg, isn't it? Like
That's
you were like, well, product users traction first, then investors, which I actually think is not a bad not a bad strategy.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. I think probably it should have been a mix of both. I mean, still build, talk to users because your users are the ones that are going to use the product and
Mm.
pay us eventually. They are the ones who are going to like decide the future of the company. But just having allies in terms of like angel investors that would have like guided us a lot better. And we, yeah, but you're true. I think our strategy worked eventually. I mean, we managed to build the product, get customers and all, and eventually like raise around. But yeah, uh, the, that's
Well,
some learning.
well, the other thing that you did, which I thought was really interesting, is that you didn't raise from crypto funds.
Oh yeah,
You know
yep,
what I
yep,
mean? Like you raised from actual real
yes,
world investors, not like, hey, we only do crypto stuff, and so therefore, if
right.
you're not that, then go away. Like this was actually, hey, we do crypto, and you raised from actual, venture capitalists. So,
Yeah, so that goes back to our belief that the problem that we are solving is not just specific to like crypto or blockchains. We feel that there's a problem that's applicable to a lot more domains than just like Web3. So our future, so 5 years, 10 years down the line, we see ourselves like being able to answer data questions for any data essentially. I mean, come plug in your data and then ask a question. So it has to be like another layer on top of data. So let's say how IBM thought like PC on like every desk, right? So similar to that, it's more like you shouldn't be accessing the data directly. Ours should be a layer using which people should access the data, both internally and externally.
mm-hmm. Well, dude, listen, I think you're doing a lot of things the right way. I mean, the fact that you've raised money in the market the way that it is for, crypto blockchain type utility technology platform, again, is congratulations to you. And I think, I think what you're doing, I think, you're saying a lot of the right things from what I'm hearing. And so I've no doubt that, Series A is coming, so. So
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah.
I hope you get there, bud. And just head down, keep going, and I'm sure you guys will win.
Thanks, Matt. Hopefully, yeah. Series A, so we try not to think too much about so uh, internally our motto has been to like drive usage, drive numbers, and Series A will fall in place. I mean, or the next round or whatever is coming next is going to like fall in place. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to like, yeah, be heads down, focus on product, focus on users, and solve the right problems.
Well, there you go. See, you're saying all the right things again. Well, AJ, it's been a privilege having you here, buddy. And obviously, send my best to you and the rest of the team. Okay.
Thanks, Matt. It's been nice chatting with you. It's great being on the show.
Anytime. All right, buddy. See you soon. Ciao.